The stage 1 playoffs for Pacific are here, and so without further ado, let's head right into the Pickems as well as the power rankings. But first up, we're going to take a quick look at the ELO ratings for each of the teams, and in first place is T1, followed by Paper Rex, and then Nongshim, who I would still say are kind of overrated by their, like the overall ELO rating is overrated just because of them winning in Master Santiago. That's the from then back then their elo rating is still a bit too high through that, since they at least were decently successful. But yeah, they're for sure a tier below these two, and together with the rest of the teams. Then there's Global Esports, Wilsons, RRQ, KRX, DetFM, Gen G, Team Secret, and then Zeta and Feral in the last two spots. I would say overall, like it looks kind of decent. I think kind of the apart from Nongshim being too high, and then I would say the kind of middle of the pack in Pacific is they're all really close by each other, and it's kind of hard to rank them. So it's gonna be an exciting playoffs, I think. But now let's look at my power rankings that I did before the start of stage 1. And this is what my power rankings looked like back then. I would say obviously Nongshim, I was too high up on them. I think it made sense with how strong they looked coming out of Master Santiago winning it. And then with what I thought the meta not changing too much from Neon being the strongest duelist, now that Yoru had been nerfed, I thought for Nongshim they would still be great, but seem to have some issues with like not enough follow up after Dumby going in. So I don't think I could have been able to predict that. And then I think Paper X, T1, RQ, Full Sense, DRX, DFM kind of makes sense. I was a bit too low on Global, was a bit too high on Gen G, and then, yeah. Apart from that, I would say not too bad for a region that feels really hard to predict, since it's a really close region. But yeah, now let's try and give it a shot at making a power rankings coming into playoffs. And so first up, I gotta say, as I said before, it seems really difficult to rank these teams, like especially in the middle portion. Like the ones who are fighting for the third spot, I would say there are a couple of teams, but I would start with the teams that didn't make the playoffs, which were Varel and Zeta, as well as Team Secret and Gen G. I would say probably Varel have looked the weakest, right? They didn't get a win. Zeta won was them, so I'll put them in C tier. I think Team Secret has actually looked really promising with the change of Zeus coming in, and then Gen G have looked really disappointing apart from their fluke win versus Paper X. So because of that, I'm actually just putting them in D tier. And then, yeah, these are the 8 teams that have qualified for the playoffs. So as usually, I would start at the top, and I think Paper X and Tier 1, they're the clear top 2. I think they have clearly shown to be better than the rest of the teams. Paper X only having that oopsie versus Gen G, I would say. And then apart from that, these two have looked way better than the rest. I would assume them to be the two best, and would be surprised if either of them doesn't make Masters London. So yeah, then when it comes to 80, I think it's really close. I think I I I don't think it would be terrible to just put all 5 of these teams in A tier, obviously ordering them around a bit differently. I think it would be reasonable to do, but I feel like it's not quite how a tier list should look. So because of that, I would probably move down together with DFM in B tier. I would probably put Nongshim as well as GE, even though it feels really harsh on GE. I think I'm moving them down to B tier, and maybe I am again underrating them. I will put them in B tier for now. I think Nongshim, they have clearly looked the worst out of these 5 teams. I still think that they could end up doing something, and I think that they could go on a run. But also with starting in the lower bracket, I kind of feel like it's doomed for them in stage 1. Yeah, and then for the A tier teams, I would probably put RRQ at the top and DRX at the bottom. I think DRX at the bottom, I feel certain about that these two have looked stronger. To be honest, between GE and DRX, I don't think there's a huge difference. I think if you were to put GE buff DRX, I wouldn't tell you that it's not gonna happen. And yeah, I think RRQ and Full Sense have looked better, but in all fairness, they have played in an easier group. And right, they've played versus Zeta, Veril, and DFM. So those were easier wins, but for example, a team like DRX also had easier matches and easier wins, and like often got wins where teams just didn't look great versus them. So because of that, I want to put these two above. Then RRQ beat Full Sense, so that's why I'm putting RRQ above Full Sense, but I wouldn't be surprised if in a rematch Full Sense manages to win versus RRQ, and for me personally, I would hope that Full Sense can make it to Masters London, but yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, this is my power ranking. I don't feel great about it. I really have no clue what to do about like these 5 teams gunning for the 3rd spot to go to Masters London, but I feel like this is the best I can do right now. So now let's head into the Pickems. And so last week I went 3-3. I got Zeta versus Very wrong. Also Team Secret versus Genji. I think this one was clearly an upset. With this one, I kind of thought Zeta were favorites, but I hope that Very, just the firepower of the individuals would carry them, but it didn't end up happening. And then GE beat Nongshim. Yeah, I thought Nongshim would look better than they did, but it was a close match, so it wasn't a terrible pick, I would say. But yeah, these are my week 5 pick'ems. And now when it comes to the playoff pick'ems, up top with RRQ versus GE, this should be a close match. Or give it to RRQ though, who are then being beat by PaperX. Then down here, DRX versus Full Sense, I think is gonna be a really, really close match. And I think it could go either way, but I am gonna pick Full Sense here. I think T1 are beating Full Sense then, and do I think PaperX or T1 are gonna go up into the grand final? I think it's gonna be PaperX, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's T1. Especially since at this point both are qualified, so PaperX might just try out something or let the foot off the gas a little bit. So this feels like a 50-50 again, kind of like KRX versus Full Sense. Then GE versus ZFM, GE should win. And DRX versus Nongshim, I think, is also gonna be a really close match, but I am gonna give it to DRX. But I kind of hope that Nongshim would win this. I think RRQ are gonna beat DRX. Full Sense versus GE should also be a really, really close match, but I am gonna go for Full Sense. But I think this is where it ends again, and just as in the groups, I think RRQ are gonna beat Full Sense. Then T1 should beat RRQ, and I think Paper X would take the grand final with the advantage of the 2 map bans. But it should be a really exciting playoffs. For Pacific, I think there can be a lot of great games in here and a ton of close matches. Some nail biters should certainly be in store for us. I hope it will actually deliver, and yeah, I hope I get at least a little bit right here, but I don't feel confident about any picks that I've made really. But let me know what you guys think. Who do you have making it up to Masters London? As you've seen, I've gone with RRQ, even though they might not have looked that strong. I kind of just feel like it's gonna be inevitable that RRQ makes it on in and then disappoints on an international stage again. I don't exactly know why, but I just have that feeling that it's gonna happen. And yeah, who do you see making it on in, and who do you think is gonna win the split? And then we're gonna see each other tomorrow for the Americas Pickems.